Kari Lake, the Republican Senate candidate for the state of Arizona, had a real bad week. And her bad week all started with an interview that she did on News Nation with host Chris Stirewalt, when Stirewalt asked her directly, basically, hey, you've been losing in every single poll throughout this entire Senate race between you and Ruben Gallego, so, what gives? Now, here is the actual full question that Stirewalt had asked her. He said, you came within 3/4 of a point of winning the governorship just 2 years ago. So he's like, hey, you almost won that race. After a long career as a very popular TV anchor in Phoenix, you entered the Senate race as a household name in your state. You have the backing of the former president and the Republican establishment in the Senate, but in most polls since the beginning of the contest, you have trailed Congressman Gallego. That was the average of polls from our partners at the Hill and Decision Desk HQ, showing you trailing by nearly 6 points. How do we account for this? How do you explain that? So before I get to her just totally unhinged response, let me point out that actually in the latest polls, he's talking about the average of polls. In the latest polls, Gallego has a 9-point lead over Kari Lake. So he's dominating Lake in this race. It's not even close. It's not even a contest at this point. But he pointed out hey, Trump's supporting you. You're a household name. You almost won last time. The Republicans in the Senate love you. What the hell's wrong with your campaign? And Lake, true to her nature of not believing what's real, had this to say in response. Well, there were a couple of really bad outlier polls that were included in that were just absolutely absurd partisan polls. I know what my internal polling looks like. I'm ahead of him, but it is a horse race, and I've gotten access to a lot of polls that aren't public. We're the third best chance for a pickup seat in these closely contested races, and I feel we're going to win this one. This is somebody who's voted lockstep 100% of the time with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, the two most disastrous things to ever happen to our country. This is a real radical, and I can tell you, Arizona is not radical like Ruben. So, according to Kari Lake, who still denies the reality of the 2022 gubernatorial election that she lost, according to her, all of these polls, they're all outliers. All of them, apparently. Every poll of the Arizona Senate race has been an outlier. Now, statistically speaking, it is not possible for every single thing to be an outlier. By definition, an outlier is one single thing that does not conform with the rest of the data. The fact that all of these so-called outliers do in fact conform to the same set of data, showing the same results, proves that they literally, by definition, cannot be outliers, Kari. But she swears she has these super secret polls that of course she's not going to show us. Why would she do that? I mean, why would she want to back up anything she says with evidence? Y'all got some real, stones on you for asking about that. I cannot stress enough how insane this is. She still denies the results of the 2022 election in her state, which, of course, is one of the reasons why her defamation lawsuit, the one filed against her by Stephen Ricker, a Republican Maricopa County recorder, hit a major snag for her this week, which is another bad thing that happened. But anyway, she's denying reality here so that when she loses in November, she can deny that reality too. She's on record now saying we have polls. We can't see them, of course, but she has them showing that she's way ahead. So when she loses, she will go back to that moment and say, well, I told you we had polls showing we were ahead. So obviously the election was stolen from me. That's what's going to happen. I'm not saying it might happen. I'm not saying it could happen. I am telling you right here, right now, that is what will happen when she loses. And she is setting the stage for it now. But she says that the state of Arizona, of course, is not as radical as Ruben. So what's going on in Arizona? Is Kari Lake correct? Well, no. In fact, that is another piece of bad news that Kari Lake received this week when the Arizona Police Association, which has historically backed Republican candidates, not Democrats at all, they came out this week and made this announcement. As a Marine combat veteran, we know Congressman Gallego understands the complexities of modern policing in American society today, while at the same time recognizing the public's expectation. The APA, Arizona Police Association, does not take our endorsement lightly. We recognize the importance of having a U.S. senator that can bring people together to improve society for all. We believe Congressman Gallego will be that U.S. senator. They proudly announced their endorsement of Representative Ruben Gallego to represent Arizona in the United States Senate. So even this group that is traditionally a Republican-supporting group, even they looked at this race between Lake and Gallego and said, yep, we're going to the left this time. We are not going to back Kari Lake. This is a huge group representing thousands and thousands of police officers and other law enforcement officials throughout the state of Arizona. Their endorsement matters. And they came out against Kari Lake. So she can claim that Arizona is not as radical as Ruben all she wants. The state is telling her, hey, we are. By the way, that's not even radical. But we like him. We don't like you. So keep denying reality and let's see where that gets you in November. And speaking of November, another thing happened in Arizona this week in an attempt by the Republicans to kind of damper a little bit the Democratic enthusiasm in the state. The Republican Party of Arizona filed a lawsuit this week against two executive orders that were signed by Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs back in 2023. The first order says that public or government-run buildings can also serve as voter registration sites. The second executive order says, and also these sites can be used as voting sites. So expanding access to voting in the state of Arizona. And Republicans in the state, seeing how badly things are going for them, looked at this and they said, oh, hell no. We have to sue so that we can take away these places for people to register to vote and the places for people to vote. We don't want more people voting, is what the Arizona Republican Party is telling us. And these executive orders were signed more than 9 months ago, but they waited until just now, as the polls in Arizona are shifting in the Democrats' favor, just till now, to file the lawsuit. Yeah, that totally seems believable, right? This is what we're up against. We're up against people who deny reality. We are up against a party that doesn't want more people to be able to vote. They want to restrict it. They want to take it back. They're doing it all over the country, Georgia, Texas this week as well, trying to strip people of the right to vote. Don't let it happen. They're doing it because they are afraid of you, because they know that they can't win on policy, to borrow the phrase from Trump and Republicans. So the only way they can win is to cheat you out of your right to vote. Hi, everyone. This here is little Athena. And Athena would like to know why you haven't subscribed to Fair and Balanced yet. So please, don't let Athena down. Subscribe today.